this is the aluminum slash turbo motors factory. It also features radio control units from quartz. So we effectively have the train station set up to do all the delivery of all the different items. We've got everything, you know, bauxite, rubber. We bring in quartz, iron, copper, coal. Yeah, all the things. Huge big bus down the middle that brings it all in. And that bus basically just feeds right into the factory. This is all the different items, more joining as they come. We also have 2 trucks that deliver computers and turbo, or not turbo, but regular motors here. This is the bus that brings everything in. We do have bauxite on site. Actually, currently, technically, we're only really shipping in rubber by train and coal by train. Everything else we're getting on site, actually including the quartz as well. So all of this works just like the rest of our factory. Big main belt manifold. We do our big pipe manifold here as well. So the first set of refineries, as you can imagine, is the alumina solution, followed by the aluminum scrap refineries, which brings us to the ingots. And the sheets, followed by the heat sinks. And last but not least, the turbo motors. So on the other side of the bus, we have the radio control unit factory. So the end of the line here is the radio control units. Those obviously go out to the turbo motors because they're needed for turbo motor construction. So working from this backwards, radio control units at the end. Backwards is crystal oscillators. We make the reinforced iron plates. Now this is kind of funny. So we use everything on a manifold system. It's very simple and straightforward, and everything's built like that. You can see. So like our radio control units, you know, they're fed all of their items in a main belt, and that main belt is just split at every manufacturer that it comes across. And when we want more, we'll just build more manufacturers on the end and fire out more belts over there. So these reinforced plates are some of the only things that sort of disobey this rule. You can see they're tiny little balanced setups. So they get fed from the manifold of iron ingots, but from there it's an exact recipe. 3 constructors of sheets, 2 of rod, 3 constructors of screws, and 2 constructors of reinforced plates. It's an absolute exact recipe, so it maths out into the manufacturers in exact quantities. Which is not something often done. I just did that for this one just because of, it's not working properly, but I can't imagine why that is. There's got to be some reason. Very, very not often that happens. Because see, it's a hard way to do things. This calculation worked out nicely for me, in that these 2 reinforced plates make 5, which is exactly what's needed for those manufacturers. For most other things, that math is just too tedious to keep track of. So I prefer the manifold design, where you kind of just jam things onto faster and faster belts until you have enough of what you need. Yeah, it looks crazy, looks complicated, but you know, it really is like just about the dead simplest way to build in this game. Aluminum gets a little funky though, because you have to add in a lot of liquids. The liquid that you're adding in is water, and you do need quite a bit of it. We have like 9 alumina solution refineries. They use 100 water each per minute. That's 900 water per minute across all, which is 3 full pipelines. So you can see we have those pipelines coming up. We grab our water from the seashore, which is actually half the reason we did the aluminum factory here. This is the closest bauxite to my main base, and this bauxite is ridiculously close to the water. So I thought this would be a perfect spot for the aluminum factory, and it's turned out pretty good so far. Where we grab all of our water from. We've actually just recently started designing another bus down in here too. You can see 3 more pipelines on this side, and we're going to be pulling them down this wall to power the next 9 foundries that we place, or refineries rather. So bringing the water up and bringing it into the refineries, it's a really easy task, honestly. Where it gets tricky in aluminum is when you go to the aluminum scrap. So in order to get the aluminum from bauxite, you basically combine the bauxite with water. This produces the alumina solution, which is that white liquid, the byproduct of silica. I found the byproduct of silica super easy to handle. I just throw it into the main silica line that is used to make the aluminum ingots later. And in my experience, if you just put fast belt that feeds into your main line, it just works. Like, look at that. You can see it backs up like a little bit every once in a while. But since that merger goes like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, the byproduct always makes it through. And pretty damn fast too, right? So never been a problem backing up on byproduct for me there. Just as long as you keep that belt moving, works just fine. This next refinery is a little tricky because this is where you bring the aluminum back to like its solid form and you remove that water that you added, right? So the alumina solution goes from being a liquid to being that solid aluminum scrap, and you have this byproduct water. Now this is the big problem in aluminum, and I struggled many hours to get the solution that I have for this. So basically the solution that I did for that water there is the exact same solution that we have over here for the silica. We just made the pipe equivalent. So all we did was we take this byproduct water, we manifold it all into like one pipe. Now I did split it to 2 pipes because we actually, our byproduct water, we're producing more than 300 per minute because it's 30 per minute per machine. Over 10 machines, you get over, right? You get over the limit. Now I don't know exactly how many refineries we have here, but maybe the second pipe's not necessary, but I thought it was at a certain point, so we added it in. Beside the point anyways, whether you have 1 or 2 pipes, you split it into 3. And those merge into the 3 water pipes I was showing you originally. Now, unlike belts, you can't give an advantage with speed because there's only 1 speed of pipes. So the way that you make this work is with the pumps. A pump will effectively serve as a check valve, and it will force the liquid out, but not allow it to flow back in. If this pump wasn't here, there could be backflow. If I remove this pump, then water from the water extractors is going to push back into this system and fill it up, filling up the byproduct reserves and stopping the aluminum scrap production. But since we have these pumps on all of our exits, there can be no backflow. And so when the water extractors from these pipes spool down, they create a lapse in pressure, which the pumps use to force their water in. And they continue forcing their water in until the pressure is so little that it stops, at which point the water extractors spool back up and provide the needed water. So that way, your water byproduct never backs up, and your alumina solution refineries never starve. So, works pretty darn good. Works pretty darn good. Not gonna say it's 100% perfect all the time, but the best damn solution I've been able to come up with. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, we're not using all the alumina solution on this last one. I don't know why that is. But yeah, the good news is, once you get past that little problem, it is cherry and cake, man. It is just so easy, because you just basically shove the aluminum scrap into your smelters. The aluminum scrap is a bit of a pain in the butt, because you work with it in such high quantities. Honestly, it's even worse than screws. It's like, you're producing like 150 per refinery, and you're consuming like 260, 240 per smelter. So you need a lot of belts to get it done, but it just pops out your beautiful aluminum ingots, and then you're laughing, man. Just normal production from there on out. So that's aluminum in a nutshell, guys. Have fun.